Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome to the PowerWomen Podcast.
This is the show where powerful women share their journeys, discuss powerful issues, and the men and women who help us rise.
And we are your hosts with three very different backgrounds and very different perspectives. I'm Brandy Jo Newman.
I'm Gayatri Agnew.
And I'm your power mom, Claire Brown. Hey, y'all. Hey, we're back again. And I'm so excited because I get to talk to a friend that I've had now for several years. And the way I make friendships is I make them deep, I make them quick, and then they last forever. And I had the privilege to meet Kendra Williams several years ago in Arizona at an NLP Master Practitioner Workshop and Certification. And anyway, so we just connected, and it's always been just wonderful and exciting and so much fun. And we're both mothers. And so we're going to talk about the trenches of motherhood today and what all that looks like. So tell us, who is Kendra Williams? What does she do?
Hello, Power Women. Yes, thank you, Claire, for having me on again.
Yeah.
I am an empowerment coach. I'm a life coach for mothers specifically to help them redefine what success means in motherhood and beyond. So that's a huge identity shifts brought on by motherhood. How can we actually embrace that and make that like the making of us and like the beginning of our greatest story, as opposed to being like, oh my God, this sucks. What happened?
I know, right? I know, because it's so true. Like my first 6 months of motherhood, I was like, oh my God, something is either going to suck from me or I'm going to wipe it for the rest of my life. And how this cannot be the definition of self. This has to shift.
No.
Like I cannot be in boob jail forever. I have to go to a restaurant again. This has to change.
But how big were those boobs? I
mean, it's like my gynecologist told me, he's like, now's the time to take the pictures for what you want them to be later. And he was not wrong.
Oh, I like your gynecologist. He's funny.
He's retired now. But yeah, I mean, I have rules for gynecologists. That's another podcast.
Yeah, I think early motherhood, it's amazing. You're 14? No, how old's your oldest at high school? So 17?
Like, I'm 14. Yes.
No. How long have you been in motherhood?
Well, my oldest is 17. My youngest is 14. I lost one before both of those children.
Okay. So you were already in motherhood when you lost the first one. Absolutely.
That's right.
And it's amazing that you still remember the first 6 months, 17 years later. Like that's almost like a blip in our whole life.
It is. Yeah. Well, I was blessed with the fact that my first one was a sleeper, which then allowed me to get
hate you.
I know. Well, yes. And I was one of these mothers, it's always interesting how you can look back and you see in others what you see in yourself, the good and the bad. And so new moms and, I show property to new parents or, expecting parents all the time. And these parents that are very rigid on scheduling and all these things. I was like, oh, I was so that parent. I was so that mother. And what would I do different now? And what would that look like? And how much peace would that give me to not have that anxiety in that phase? It'd be wonderful.
Yeah. I, side quest here. My husband and I just decided not to have another baby, a third baby. And a lot of it was my kids are 5 and 7. And I'm like, we would be so good now. We would be so good. We would know, we would stop worrying about tracking the damn sleep. But it's like, I can't bring another baby into the world just so I can have a good early, like that's selfish, the most selfish thing I could do. So there's many other reasons, but we pulled it off the table, but we were really looking at going back into the actual physical trenches in the last couple months. And I was like, no, I think our experience is our experience. And we're going to let it be.
Well, what people told me, but I didn't listen to is how expensive those little things are the older they get.
Yeah, you'll love this. We were looking for houses in the middle of our baby fever. We were like, okay, well, we need to expand. We'll look. And then when we pulled the baby off the table, I'm like, we just earned $1 million because we just didn't have a kid.
Yes.
We just were rich.
I know. You know, and it's like, I convinced myself, and then I convinced my husband at the time that like, this kid's going to be free for the first year. You know, I'm going to have these baby showers. I'm going to get all these free clothes, all these free diapers. I'm going to breastfeed. Like, this kid is going to cost nothing for at least a year, you know. But I mean, what? I need someone to donate a car, tuition, like a lot of clothes. And then like all these beauty products that these girls want to wear and everything. It costs so much more than I do. I'm like, sister, we are going to Target or Kmart and that is it. Yeah. Like, all this stuff, like, no, Pond's cold cream is all you need.
Coconut oil. We're doing coconut oil from Kroger's.
That's it. No. But yeah, they get so expensive.
Yeah, my kids are 5 and 7, so we're in the like $100 for gymnastics a month, $100 for karate a month. That it's like, oh my gosh. But my youngest is about to exit childcare, so woohoo! We'll get a little bit of money back.
Yeah. That is huge. I know. Be like with each one of them, it comes along. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to find a new corner to start hooking because I've got to figure this out. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm single, like everybody knows, you know, but like, so like I'm going on dates and I'm like, do you have benefits? Because like I need insurance right now really bad. And like,
do you match 401k? Like, what do you got?
Yeah. And like, are you part of the U of A system? Because that gets a tuition discount. And like, I've got that coming up for these kids, you know? So like
there's a lot to think about.
It's a lot to think about. And I know that's absolutely terrible of me, but I'm like, I'm really thinking logically about all this and I'm not emotionally attached to you whatsoever, but I am curious.
I mean, we have different friends in our life. Like I have dance friends and then I have my spiritual friends. You could have your sugar daddy and then your emotional connection. Like, let's, you know what? Diversify.
Well, it's okay. And it's like I've even said to some of, I've called them my gay husbands. Like I've said to my gay husbands, I'm like, if you want children, I have this. It can be great. I've got tax deductions for you. Like, please share the load. And I would be a great wife for you. I will take care of you. I mean, yes.
Top-notch communication skills.
And you don't have to sleep with me at all.
So it's like a regular American marriage. Uh-oh. Womp,
right.
Womp.
Exactly. Yeah. But I won't bother you to clean the house. You have your own house. It's great.
Yeah.
So
that would be nice.
I digress. So Kendra, tell everybody, I know you are a motherhood empowerment coach, but I mean, that's kind of a rare thing. There aren't a lot of you.
Yeah.
I know.
No. So people are like, what do you even mean? So what the heck does that mean? So in today's world, obviously it looks like we have men and women. Well, that's a whole different conversation, but we're just going to just play with me that it's men and women. But when we cross the threshold from maiden to mother, women are systematically more invisible. Just even going to the flippant conversations of like babies on planes, like don't bring your babies on the planes. Like if you are not a productive member of society, go hide. Your kids should not be screaming. Your kids should not be yelling. You ain't making money as a stay-at-home mom. There is so many external
dismissive terms.
Said and unsaid expectations. And I create visibility for all of the systems in that and how you relate to it. Like in the spiritual world, there's people think when we start self-improvement, okay, once I have a really sexy body, then I will do the things and I will be confident. It's the have, do, be. It's be, do, have. And in motherhood, the have just isn't on you. So I have a marriage, but now my husband has some expectations about what a good mom does versus what a good wife does. I used to be a corporate success, crazy career woman, but now, oh, you're a mom, you've got to leave for the kids. So it's not just me that changes as a woman. Society says totally different playbook. And also we don't talk about it. So go fucking figure it out by yourself.
Right. No, that's right. No, nobody talks about it. Nobody has a solution for it. And everybody's still just trying to wing it in a trench on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe, yes, everybody's winging it, but there's actually a framework. And in the spiritual space, it's the be, do, have. I work off of the being, doing, and relating. So a lot of women like myself and probably you are like, I'm going to crush motherhood. I'm going to do all the things.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to do motherhood. Motherhood is not something that you do. Being a mom is not something that you do. Being a mom is something that you be. So we go from, you put on this mom hat, you get the baby, or you, even if you have a miscarriage and there is no physical baby, you have entered in the expectations of what does this mean about my body? How are people treating me? All of that stuff. So the mom hat goes on and my being begins to adjust. I help people acknowledge, just like adolescence when we're kids, we go through something called matrescence. Your inner world is about to swirl. Okay. So we're being and we're swirling. And then there's the doing, which is what everyone's obsessed with. How do I have a perfect pregnancy? How do I labor? How do I nurse? How do I baby-led wean? How do I educate? How do I discipline? Like, oh my God, it doesn't stop. And everyone has an opinion that is completely opposing. So that's the doing. And I think that's what everyone seems to talk about. And then the third part is relating. And this is where my personal story usually comes into my coaching is becoming a mother, change my marriage, change my career, change my friendships, change the way I relate to my body. It changed the way that I relate to the world. So there's three parts to motherhood: being, doing, relating. And all of this is just not talked about, but every woman I talk to, they go, oh yeah, I get it. I feel it.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we accept it? And then bathe in it, and then and then make it good, because it is told to us where it's not good in many ways. It's like your fupa needs to go away. So how do I say that I love my fupa and it's here to stay? How do we
love the fupas?
Yeah, well, how do we reframe that?
Oh, so
because am I wrong? But that's what you're saying.
No. Yeah. So okay, that's perfect. Relating, how you view my body. Is it good or is it bad? Is the relating part. You're already 3 steps ahead of where you need to be. We need to go back to the being. Everyone's like, I want to have sex with my husband again. I want to get back. Like, I'm working, but my head's not in the game. Like, I want to be back. I was so good. Everyone's like, how do I have? How do I have? How do I have? And you're asking the wrong question, honey buns. How do I be? How do I be? How do I be? You wouldn't go to a 16-year-old and be like, I want you to go back and be a little girl. Change your body back.
Yeah.
But so we need to start having the conversation with ourselves, not like, is it a beautiful body? Is it a good body? All body? Like, fuck all that. I can swear on this podcast.
Yes,
right?
you can.
Okay. Like,
it is
fuck
a favorite
all of
word.
the stories. Okay, good. I'm not here for the stories. I'm coming back to the presence of how are you being in this moment? How are you being in your body? How are you being at work? And when it comes to what we were originally going to talk about on this, maybe we still will, juggling all the things, I call it code switching. A good mom, I'm home, so I'm going to be a good mom, so I'm going to do all the things. Then I'm going to be a good wife after bedtime. I'm going to clean everything up and I'm going to go seduce my husband. And then I'm going to code switch to be a good, successful career woman. And we're code switching. There's different values and different traits that need to be present with your ideal good mom and your ideal good wife. But what if you didn't have to code switch? Do you know how much energy, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you would save? People ask me, how do I juggle it all? Well, stop looking at the logistics of it. Stop. Like, seriously, drop it for 1 month. And let me look at how you're juggling your energy when you transition. I work with a lot of moms in earlier, like the first 7 years, and we're always talking about kids transitioning from school to home, transitioning from the potty to the table, transitions. It's like, but what about your transition?
Right.
You are the foundation. Your being is the foundation. So if we can get comfortable, okay, my body looks like this, like not good or bad. Like, can I just admit that my body literally has a fupa now?
Yeah. And stretch marks.
That's it. Don't be like, I love it. And I'm like going to go post on Instagram for body positivity. Or like I feel like I find people say really beautiful things as such bypassing. I hate it. Like, don't tell me you love that fupa from the beginning. Okay. Don't.
No.
You didn't, because your conditioning is the same as mine. Unless you literally somehow are raised actually with no media, no movies, like fupas are bad.
Yeah,
the
that's what we're
conditioning, the
told.
story,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Otherwise,
The
there
story
wouldn't
is,
be as many plastic surgeons as there are.
yeah, they're inherently neutral. They're just neutral. So if someone's done a lot of work to make it positive and they're coloring their stretch marks, I can see how much pain that they overcome to get there.
Yeah.
But it inherently is neutral. And when we stop putting the good and the bad stories on, where is my relationship right now? Where is my drive for starting my business right now? Where is my drive to connect for more than 30 minutes a day with my kids? Like I'm overtouched. I don't care. I played with them for 10 minutes. Is that enough today? Yeah. Yes. And just drop
and
the
that's
story.
Right. We don't give ourselves permission for that.
Yeah. But that's what the being is. There's no permission in the as is.
Mm-hmm.
Your chest is on fire. Your chest is on fire. It's just your chest is on fire.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
Allow it. It's in the allowing.
Yeah. And yeah, the allowing is the being. Surrendering, giving yourself permission to just be present.
Yep.
That makes it easier to do the doing and do the relating.
We don't surrender very easily.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about motherhood. I was avoidant, very avoidant of pain, like most people. And I didn't want to feel birth. I wanted to numb that shit out. And I sure did. I didn't even know when my son was about to come out. I couldn't feel a thing. Birth is meant to be a physical portal of pain. So you surrender and you release. If I were to do it again, I would at least try a natural birth. I didn't even try. I was like, when can you give me the epidural? Like the soonest, like, come on.
Oh my God. And so my body was like, girl, you gonna surrender. I'm gonna make you.
Right. But that's part of the threshold that we're supposed to cross. That's part of the first
meant to cross that, Kendra. No. I was not. I'm here to tell you because my body was like, we're not taking the epidural. It's just not gonna happen. We reject it.
How I find that so beautiful. Like our body. I do.
Oh, that's blasphemous. No, ma'am. Oh, it's horrific.
Women are powerful. You have a portal to the other side of the universe inside of your legs, and we are meant to learn how to surrender.
Wait a minute. I need that repeated. You have a portal to the other side of the universe through your legs.
Yes. Your womb.
I love that so much.
It's true.
Yes, but it's so beautifully said.
We underestimate it.
I needed that in my book so badly.
Put it in.
No, it's already published.
Little asterisk for Kendra.
Yeah. Oh, I may have to put that on a dating profile too. That's just fabulous. It's beautiful word work. Okay.
Honestly, it will scare the ones that aren't ready for you away. That's for sure.
I'm very clear. That's why I'm like, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
And the ones who are like, yeah, I respect a powerful, divine, feminine being.
That's it. It's you understand your femininity in it.
Yeah. And femininity isn't soft. It can be. But femininity is like the dark feminine as well. It's fiery. It's chaotic. Yeah. It's dark. And birth is truly quite the lesson that I bypassed, like consciously was like, we do not do that. I didn't understand the deeper meaning to it at the time, but I for sure was like, I've had enough pain in my life. No. Not for me. But I believe that if we can surrender, if we view it that way, that becomes the first proof in our nervous system and our body that, as cheesy as it sounds, we can do hard things. I can be in the transformation from maiden to mother. I can be exactly the grandest expression of who I am when you guys think I'm being unproductive because I'm a stay-at-home mom. I can stand on my truth and power. And some people are like, dude, it's just birth. Get over it. And I'm like, no, dude, it's the portal to the other side. You're bringing in a soul and you get to see that you were once that pure life force. And it came through you like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then the world is like, and then the world goes, here's some nipples, here's the Tommy nipples, and here's this, and don't swaddle for, and we get so taken out of
what we just
the divinity. Yeah, because it's like sleep schedules and how's this, and are you physically bouncing back, and how's your 6-week appointment? Have you slept with your husband? And it's like, oh my God, we go straight to the doing and we bypass all the being. And the being is, well, again, the being is where when you ground into your being, the doing and the relating feels effortless. You're not code switching, as I say, between good wife, good human, good friend. You're just showing up. I'm Kendra on this podcast. I'm Kendra when I mother. I'm Kendra when I wife. I'm Kendra everywhere. And people are like, how do you have so much energy? It's because I'm not pretending anymore.
I've let go of that
I'm
expectation.
Not pretending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is very freeing to completely surrender.
And it's one of the scariest things.
Oh, yeah. It's been a word of mine for the last 2 years. And I think when I've said that I'm in a space of surrender, some people have been like, oh, really? Especially in the South,
What? I'm not from the South. Tell me, what are they projecting at that point then?
Oh, we're in the Bible Belt South. So surrender is a lot of times taken as not surrender, but in biblical ways of servanthood or I'm missing my word. Hang on. Now I'm going to have to look it up because I'm submitting. I'm submitting and not surrendering. And it's more the biblical term of submit rather than surrender. And so it's not that at all.
Right. And so do they think that's a positive or a negative thing? Because submitting in the religion is good, right?
It depends on who it is, really. I mean, if you're, I guess, a lot of males here would think it's a positive thing if I could submit, right?
Yes.
Especially evangelicals. And then many women who are forward thinking and have awareness. And if I say surrender, they understand, but then they also had the connotation due to, evangelical programming in the South of submission. And there has to be an explanation a lot of times, depending on the response that I read from it, because it's not a submit, it's a surrender.
Right.
And there's a big difference.
So then for the culture shock, you guys, the South is speaking a different language. When I say surrender to birth, and like, what would they hear when I say that?
Well, so surrender to birth, I think, is very different than submitting to it. I mean, submitting is doing what you're told. Okay. Sit still and be quiet.
So contextually, if we're speaking about like an idea surrender, they'll get it. But if it's, I'm surrendering to this person or to this thing that happened, they're going to think you're submitting. Okay.
Right.
Just learning the language.
Absolutely. It's a different world down here.
Yeah.
But how do you juggle all of it? I get, I was asked one time by a man who was the CFO of a company that was interviewing me. And he said, so you do a lot of things, and how do you do it all? And at the time in my growth, I took offense to it.
Oh, really?
Oh, I did. And my response was, well, how many people ask you that?
I cut out I'm sorry, what did you say?
My response at the time, my response to him was, well, how many people ask you that? Because it doesn't get asked of men as much as it gets asked of women, because we do have the expectation of ourselves and then therefore others. After we become mothers, we have the expectation to do it all and juggle it all. And so how do we do that?
Yeah. Well, I first want to say that men, no offense, there are some really great men. I'm married to one of them. They don't do it all. I want to bring in that obviously women make less than men, but when you become a woman with child, you make less than free agent women. Right. And men, when they became fathers, make 3% more, same role, because they're providers, and look at them providing for their family. They are not typically the ones getting called from school, leaving early for gymnastics and all the things. Right. They aren't doing it all. Right. So no one's asking them really, yes, because of gender roles, but also I want to call out, they're not freaking doing it all. Right. And financially, they get rewarded for it.
Right.
That's what pisses me off.
Yeah. Well, I have an amazing story about that. May I share?
Please. Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, the school called me about my daughter, something that was just minimal, just gossip. And I even said, are you calling me about middle school gossip? And he was like, well, if I didn't and something happened, then you'd be upset I didn't call. And I was like, well, let me ask this. Have you called my ex-husband about this? Or did you just call me? And he said, well, no, I just called you. And I said, okay, great. And I said, well, the next time you need to call one of us about middle school gossip, I'm going to need you to call him. Otherwise, I'm going to need to bill you my hourly rate. Are you prepared for that? And he was like, are you kidding? I said, I am not. No more phone calls have been made. I've received nothing unless it's of absolute dire importance.
That's great.
So I think also if we don't respond and give others the expectation of how we are to be treated and how they are to be, then it won't shift.
Yes. I think that's such an important factor. There are a lot of systemic issues. There's no maternity leave, paternity leave, all the things. There's not a lot of support for flexible childcare, even post-pandemic. Like, why can't you leave? It doesn't matter. But we can complain, or we can just literally be the change. Like, my husband is first. We wrote him first on the school.
Sure.
He is first. I still get called. I'm available. It's close. I want to answer, but it's like, where I can, we try to present a truly equitable parenting partnership, which we do have. And I could complain about it, or I could literally think, okay, we're going to put you first here. You're going to be the contact. I'm not going to put my information at the camp. So it's only him. Like, there's so much empowerment. People think empowerment is like, I'm living my best life. Empowerment also means just moving towards the life that you want.
That's
just
right.
Little micro steps. Be the change. And it's there's so many times. One of the ways that we relate in motherhood is, a lot of us, for me personally, I never had to engage with the healthcare system because I was so freaking healthy. I never had to really engage with the education system for at least 15 years. And so suddenly I'm in all of these new systems. I'm like a beginner, but I'm old. I'm 30. I'm an adult. But I'm like, who do I talk to? Where do I go? And I feel like fumbly bumbly little person. And at every step, I can decide to show up as the stereotype, or I can show up as me, and I show up as an advocate for my child, because I had extra issues that we had to navigate. And it feels so good to not run on autopilot and say, what do I need? What does my child need? What do I want? Take the step. What do I need? What does my child need? Take the step. And when it comes, again, back to juggling it all, so much of the juggling women don't realize is it really is self-shame and guilt tripping ourselves.
Yes.
If you take the micro steps to be the change, that guilt melts the fuck away. And you're like, I have energy. And you're not doing it all to be a spiteful martyr. You're just like, I love my kids. I want to be there for everything. And heck yeah, I'll volunteer. But not as much. It comes from such a different energy and such a grounded place. That's how you juggle it all. You unsubscribe from society's bullshit. And that takes energy on the front end to say, is this my desire or someone else's desire?
That's it. Yeah. Because I can, women post in the group all the time, and I've talked to women over the years and this, that, and they talk about mom guilt, right? It's huge. And here's the thing. There's so much of motherhood and womanhood and everything that I can relate to, but that mom guilt is something I really have a hard time with, because I don't have that. And I really have never had that.
Amen.
I just don't.
I support women in motherhood, and I say mom guilt's not real. And they're like, oh, how dare you invalidate me? And I go, there's no father guilt. There's no CEO guilt. There's no realtor guilt. This is a societal story that has been made up to keep you small, to keep you powerless. If you are feeling mom guilt, then you are running a script that isn't yours. If you do feel actual regular human guilt, then that means you are acting out of alignment with your values. And you go, oh, maybe I'll do something differently. But if you are feeling mom guilt, if someone's, I'm drowning in mom guilt, I'm like, oh, this is mindset work. This isn't yet. We're not even getting into the healing of the body first. We just, I stayed home. I didn't want to. I was running a script that like the best moms would want to be there for their kids every second for the first couple of years.
Yeah.
I ended up being a stay-at-home mom for the first couple of years, but I'm like, holy shit, I don't want to do that. But I've had so much guilt for not enjoying it. And it's like, oh my, that wasn't my guilt. That wasn't my guilt.
No, your guilt should be that your kids didn't see you happy.
Yeah. The guilt that I was trying to be a martyr because I was running the script that in a negative way, that moms are superheroes. And I'm like, that is such a pretty story that moms get roped up into. And again, I'm always like kind of shitting on the people I'm trying to help because it's like mom guilt's not real. And if you're calling yourself a superhero, that is not a compliment to yourself. You need to rest. You need to delegate. You need to do less. You need to connect more. If you are acting not human, then I don't believe that you're actually enjoying your human experience. And I think we're here to enjoy our human experience.
I totally agree. Kendra, you're brilliant. Yes. You're so smart. You're everything.
What are you going to ask me?
I'm not going to ask you anything because I don't think you, and you may, I don't know this, but I don't know if you truly understand the goodness within you that women need to hear every single day. It's almost like I need you to record affirmations for women so we can just play on repeat. I'm serious, like for real. Like, because it's so needed because so many days we don't know what to tell ourselves and we sure can't hear it from anyone else. And so I think they need to hear Kendra on repeat every day. But thank you so much for pouring yourself out so that others can hear it, heal, and go and do, be, do, and have better.
Thank you for seeing me. Yeah. I love this. I know that my words can land on paper kind of jarring, like those two subjects, but I'm like, it's so freeing. Yeah. When they really land in your body, you're like, oh, the mom guilt's not mine.
No.
I don't have to be a superhero. And oh my God, it's like, it's the best feeling in the world. It's like the easiest way to release layers. Healing is always releasing the layers. And in motherhood, I always say they give you this handbag when you leave the hospital or birthing center. Here's all the mom guilt. Here's the expectations. And we lug around and we're like, oh, I could just put that bag down. I've got my own bags I brought into motherhood. I'll work on those.
Yeah.
But this, I'm just going to put this right here at the fire station. I want to return this one. And it can feel so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It was so good to see you and chat with you again.
Yes, you too. It's made my week. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, please rate and review on iTunes and check out our website, thepowerwomen.org.